Hello! So if you're watching this, you are planning to move to Vancouver and rent somewhere in the city. First of all, congratulations. Second of all, I know that it can be kind of difficult to find a place to rent. So I made this video for exactly people like you, and these are kind of like my tips and specific pointers that will help you find a place, secure a place, and also not get scammed in the process. So those are the three things I'm gonna go over in this video. I wrote out some notes about how I have found my apartments in the past, how I moved here originally and rented an apartment, how I rented this apartment out, so wrote them all on my laptop here and we're gonna go through them. I have a lot of apartment tour videos on my channel, so if you wanted to see what money gets you, like what kind of apartment in Vancouver, I'll link a playlist below or up here of apartment tours that I've done in Vancouver. So jumping into the tips, quick disclaimer is like, why do I not just work with you directly to find an apartment? Well, in Vancouver, it's not very common that real estate agents work in the rental market. Usually they just work in like the buying and selling market. And that's just because there's so many people renting and moving that like agents like just aren't really needed in the middle of that. There are some agents out there, if you Google them, that may be able to help you, but I can't recommend any because I haven't used any myself. I've just done it, and most people do it all on their own, finding a place for renting. But if you or anyone you know is getting to the point of buying or selling a home in Vancouver, that is where I can really shine and like really help one-on-one. So keep me in mind for that, happy to help. Number one, where to find rentals. This is the easier part, sometimes the fun part. I like looking at rentals. And if you need to learn more about neighborhoods, I have a video that tours different neighborhoods in Vancouver, so I'll link that again below and above. The three sites that I recommend personally and that I use to find this apartment are Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and Pad Mapper. Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist are my favorite two. That's where I found this place specifically, was on Craigslist, and my last apartment I found on Craigslist as well. There are other sites out there that you can use. Those are just the ones that have worked for me, so I just continue to search on them, and I'll link the sites below. Sometimes Craigslist and Facebook can be the best because a lot of the time that's where the owners of the apartment post their listings themselves. So sometimes you can get deals. For example, if the person who owns the apartment is renting it out, but they don't really know the value of it completely well, so they'll rent it for a few hundred less. Anyways, those are my favorite two. One thing to be aware of, some posts will say $1,400 for a one-bedroom apartment, but sometimes that means you're actually renting out the one bedroom for $1,400 a month out of the two-bedroom apartment. So make sure you look into those details. Just like look through the photos and you'll see if it's a one bedroom or if you're sharing it. Quick note on that, people ask, how do I get roommates if I don't know anyone in Vancouver and I'm moving here? There are Facebook groups. Just go on Facebook and type in Vancouver roommates. Find some groups kind of like that, and there are ones out there that are other people from other places trying to coordinate with people moving here at the same time to find a place. Okay, so we know where to search now, how to find a couple places. Now, how do you secure an apartment? Now, I'm gonna be honest, this is one of the biggest things you can take away from this video, and that is that renting in Vancouver can sometimes be a numbers game. And what do I mean by that? That means like if you apply to 20 apartments to rent it out, you might get like one yes, or even like one response. Like there's just so many people here moving here and trying to rent apartments every single month that the landlord that you just emailed to rent out their apartment that looks pretty nice, they also got like 3 other emails today and like 2 more tomorrow and like 1 yesterday. So really it's about being on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and refreshing the page every single day close to the time you're moving here, and just emailing everyone that you would consider living in. So you found the place, you send them an email, you're gonna contact them however they said they wanted to be contacted, whether that's like email, Facebook message, whatever. And I probably shouldn't have to say this part, but I'm just gonna say it anyways. You want to apply and be the ideal tenant, right? You are saying you're gonna live in this person's place. Give off a good impression, right? In your email, try not to have spelling mistakes. Try to seem like a genuine, nice, caring person. Mention you're interested and do a short little intro. Short, that's the keyword, short. Tell them about you, but just concisely. Here's a template I'll put in the description of this video for like how I would reach out to people and give off a good impression. This is what you should write, something similar to this at least. Hey John, nice to meet you. I'm Adam. I'm inquiring about your listing at 123 Lake Street. It looks like a beautiful place and I wanted to get in touch about renting it out from you. I'm Adam. I work as a software engineer. I'm a very clean and quiet guy, non-smoker. If that's true, just say what's true. I have one small, well-behaved dog, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from you about the place. So let me know if you need more info from me or are open to setting up a chat. Hope to hear from you soon. Adam. See, very friendly, very nice. Just give off that good impression because other people are emailing them too, right? So you want to look like a good candidate. People apply to a lot of apartments, don't hear back, or they get declined from renting it out. But just so you know, I think I applied to like 5 apartments before this and tried to go tour them. I did go tour a few. I applied to have them. I did not get them. Luckily, I got this place in the end and I really love it. But don't get discouraged if you don't get apartments. Even if after you're going to view them, they still don't give them to you. And just a point on this is if you are not from Canada, or living in Canada, I should say, it is harder for you to rent out an apartment from someone here. For example, let's say me and you are trying to rent the same apartment. You are in Cambodia and I'm here in Canada, in Vancouver, and I can go see this apartment. This guy listed the apartment. I go say I want to rent it. The landlord's a lot more likely to rent it to me because they met me, I'm already here, I'm a real person, like they know that and it's confirmed. Whereas if someone is not here, doesn't matter where they're from, it's just a bit less likely that they're gonna rent to you because they don't get to meet you. Yes, you can do stuff online, but it's just not the same, and it's extra work for the landlord. That's the main thing, it's extra work for the landlord, so they might not want to rent to someone who's not here. Meaning what some people do at the end of the day is they move to Vancouver. If they can't secure a place in time, they will rent an Airbnb or stay in a hotel or something like that for 2 weeks or so while they go around and view as many places as possible and try to rent them out. And people do that. Yes, it costs some money to like rent somewhere short term, but if you want to move here, sometimes people have to do that. So my final tip on securing a place is the financial side of things. So when I first moved to Vancouver, I applied to all these apartments. I was a student, right? I was going to school and I got declined by every single one because they're like, how's this guy gonna pay rent if he's not working? He's just going to school. So what did I do? I said, hey, Mom, I asked my mom, and I'm very privileged that I can do this, and my mom had a good job and was in a good financial situation, and I said, can you co-sign the lease with me so that these people know if I can't pay rent, then my mom is held liable also. So now there's more people and more money involved, and they felt more secure. They didn't pay for anything in the end because I was able to pay rent, of course, but it's just to show the landlord that you're serious about renting it out and that they're safe. Some people aren't able to do that. They're not in the situation to be able to ask people to also sign on the lease, and I understand that, but if you have some advantages like that, try to use them. At the end of the day, a landlord just wants to be sure that you're not going to disappear and that you will pay them even if you lose your job kind of thing. So you have to have savings and some backup. It's not unlikely that sometimes landlords will ask for bank statements or files regarding where you work and stuff, so they know how much money you have and how much you make. On to part 3, not getting scammed, a very important part. So unfortunately there are scammers out there that are trying to go after people who are renting apartments. So I'll give you a scenario. Say you want to rent an apartment from John, and John says, okay, well, to be sure that you're gonna actually move in, I want half month's rent up front. So your rent's $2,000 a month. I want $1,000 up front right now, so I know that you're gonna move in there. And if you don't move in, I get to keep that $1,000. That is legal in Vancouver. In Canada, you are allowed to ask for half month's rent up front, but that is the maximum. John hasn't done anything wrong yet. He can ask you for that. So if John asks you for $2,000 a month up front and your rent is $2,000 a month, he's asking for a full month's rent up front. That is not allowed. He's not allowed to ask for that. So maybe if he's a scammer, he's just trying to get you to give him $2,000 and then he's gonna disappear. Let's say everything's fine though. John asks for half month's rent up front before you move in. You pay him the half month's rent and then you never hear from him again. And so you just got scammed. How do you avoid that? Well, you kind of have to do your basic research as much as you can, a little bit of detective stuff. So John's renting the apartment out. He has photos posted online. Keep in mind, it's not hard for him to take photos online, download them, make a fake ad that he doesn't actually have access to that unit. So ask John, ask this guy to give you a video tour. Do a FaceTime with that person, make sure they're a real person. Type in their name on LinkedIn or on Google. Do they come up? Are they real? Pretty much. And do they actually have access to that spot? And if they say no, then they probably just don't have access to the place. They're probably a scammer. And finally, just a few things that you should know that in Canada, people are not allowed to ask you. Like landlords, when you want to rent a place out, that they're not allowed to ask you. They can't ask you if you have kids, for example. They can't ask you where you're from, like what's your ethnicity. They can't ask for a photo of you because those can all lead to discrimination. So we're trying to avoid that here in Canada, so that's why it's illegal. And finally, they can also not ask you for your SIN number, SIN, which it may be called something else in your country, but it's like your personal identification number that you have with your government. The only time you should give out your SIN is to your employer or like your bank/government, like only when you're logging in and stuff like that. The reason I mention this really quick is because a lot of landlords out there want criminal criminal record checks of the people that they are renting to. When I moved in here, the landlord was like, can you send me a criminal record check? So I went and got a criminal record check done, and then I gave that to the landlord, and they're like, okay, looks good. But some landlords ask for your SIN number so that they can do the check themselves. But they don't know that that's not how it's supposed to work. They just think that's how it's supposed to work. They might not even be trying to scam you or get your SIN number. By the way, your SIN number, if someone gets a hold of that, they can steal your identity and do a lot of bad stuff. So that's why this is important. So if a landlord unknowingly just, asks for your SIN number, I want to do a criminal record check, just say, I'm happy to do a criminal record check myself and send it over. I just don't want to give out my SIN number, that's all. If they really want your SIN and they just keep asking and it's not going to happen unless you give it to them, they might just be trying to steal your identity. So we've covered the 3 main things about renting in Vancouver: where to find a place, how to secure a place, how not to get scammed. Again, I wish I could help people one-on-one and that I could actually do business with you, but I'm only in the buying and selling sphere of things. So again, get in touch with me if you end up doing that down the road, and I will let my skills shine, okay? DM me on Instagram, ask me questions, I will be a resource. So best of luck. You may receive some follow-up emails about Vancouver and, city tips or my favorite locations in your email after this. Just trying to share the city and some of my favorite spots. So hopefully soon I will see you around the city.